Well, hello there, and you join us here today to talk about affordable watches, but not the ones you've heard of, not the Tissot's and everything that you've seen over and over again. Today we're going to talk about the ones you haven't heard of. Let's find out some more. So Tom, as part of our ongoing couples therapy, it's been suggested to me that we introduce some other people into the conversation. Are you up for that?
Yes. What dream boat have you got on board for us to talk to today?
Well, we're talking about the man with the hair. The most luscious locks you've ever seen, Tom. What better person could we have to be talking to us today to reconcile our differences than the mad watch collector himself?
Woohoo!
Russell, hello, how are you doing?
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to be in a Watchfinder sandwich like this.
You are indeed the meat. Right, let's talk about some affordable watches that we don't think people have seen before. As you're our guest, Russell, why don't you go first?
Well, thank you very much, Andrew. That's lovely. I'm going to talk about a Hamilton watch, and it doesn't get any coverage on YouTube, and I don't know why. Obviously, there was it's big, expensive boy that came out not long ago, which was the Khaki Aviation Chrono, which was I think £1,800. Had a mechanical movement inside, but I am talking about, you probably know this, Andrew, off by heart, the H76522531. Otherwise known. Otherwise known as the Hamilton Khaki Aviation Pilot Pioneer Chronograph Quartz version.
Ooh.
So that was great. That was in sync. So this is a beautifully military-inspired chronograph from the delves and the deep, dark history of Hamilton, very well known for their military watches. And this is just a spectacular looking watch for me. For bang for buck, we're around the £500 mark, so well under the 1,800 of the chronograph mechanical. Beautifully looking, simple looking, military inspired, two subdials in a funny position, but it's a lovely watch. Has the old Hamilton logo on it, which I do love, the faux patina, the matte textured black dial, the railroad track along the outside of the dial, which is synonymous to British military watches. I don't know. Do you know what? I don't know why I don't have it.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've convinced yourself into a purchase there. Well done. What I like as well is it's not a dive watch, and I expect that we are going to be talking about quite a lot of dive watches. And I'd like to start that trend, if I may, with my first recommendation. This is the Helston Skin Diver 38 Titanium. Helston have been around for a few years now, making affordable dive watches. Some of them big and ugly, and some of them very much inspired by the Blancpain 50 Fathoms. Now, the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, if you recall, is like the first dive watch with the bezel and the whole dive watch look. And I can't afford one of those, but I can afford one of these for $749. Quick run through of the specs. They do a 41mm version or a 42mm version, which is quite big for me, but this is in 38. But it's also in titanium. You get that 50 Fathoms look, but you also get a decent spec. So domed sapphire with anti-reflective coating, a Miyota 9015, which is decent, reliable. It's not going to set the world alight. But all that together for that sub $1,000 price point, what's not to like?
I love the look of it. Obviously, it has heavy Blancpain looks to it. I mean, I remember having a 5513 Rolex Submariner, which was James Bond's watch in Live and Let Die, and I actually held one, and it's from the 70s. And after the look, you twist the bezel and the feel of it, it just feels very cheap and almost rubbish. And if you was to put up, let's say, this Helston watch to a original Blancpain 50 Fathoms, I mean, it wouldn't be a competition. This would destroy it with bezel action and everything else.
Yeah. I would thoroughly recommend one of these if you are inspired by the 50 Fathoms and can't afford one. Tom, what you got for us?
Right. So I'm going to talk about the Foster Watch Co. 11 Atmos Skin Diver. So another skin diver. You're treading on my toes a bit there, Andrew, but I'll allow it.
Sorry.
So Foster Watch Co. is a micro brand headquartered in Oregon. And as far as I can tell, this is their first and only watch to date. So pretty exciting. We're on the ground floor, lads. So as you can see, it looks relatively straightforward, doesn't it? But actually, when you get in there, you can see that there's some very nice details. In black on the dial is a way to go, but there's also orange and green, and the orange is particularly popping, I think. One thing to note is the bezel is quite nice. It's a PVD coated steel bezel in one piece, and it looks very, very solid, and it's very nicely finished. You've got this sort of brushed concentric finishing around there. And apparently it's a 48 clicker, and apparently that's quite hard to do. I'm not sure why, but a 48 click bezel in one piece is impossible, but they did it. So I'll take their word for it and say that they've done a good job there.
48 clicks? That is crazy. That, do you know what? It's kind of a blessing and a curse, that, isn't it? Because I love that vintage aesthetic, that one piece thing. That's very of its time, isn't it? But can you imagine, you know, when you kind of knock it and you have to go round again? 48 is just, you'd be, I've just taken it just too far. It's I've taken it 1/48 too far, and now I have to go round again.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, because the only purpose of a bezel is to click it around for fun and then get it perfectly aligned when you're finished again. So,
yeah, 48 clicks is usually a vintage GMT amount of clicks.
Yeah, so you've got hour markers on the bezel as well, so you've got a dual time function going on there as well. It's got an acrylic crystal, which is quite nice and vintagey, so it gives it a nice little bit of warmth and character.
Tom, sorry, is that the name? Is it called the 11 Atmos?
Yeah, so that, I guess, is 110 meters of water resistance.
Yeah, I've never seen a watch that says its water resistance is 11 Atmos before. Never. I mean, it's usually either 10, 20, 50, 11. I mean, what? Let's do one better than 10. Come on.
Yeah. 100 meters is too obvious. 110.
It's the Spinal Tap edition, isn't it, basically?
This watch goes to 110. So yeah, that's fun.
Again, a Miyota caliber in there, so nice and reliable. You don't have to worry. All this kind of fuss about in-house. To be honest, at this price point, I'd rather you went and bought a movement in that I know is reliable. Russ, what do you think of the look?
I really like it. The bezel, I just really want to twist it. I really want to have a go on that. The way the bracelet is, it looks very vintagey, but it does look a little bit rattly. It could be quite rattly quite soon. You can see there are big gaps in between the links, but it is the style of that sort of semi-Jubilee style. It's very, very has 62 Mass Seiko vibes to it. Very sort of late 60s, early 70s. I love the look of it. Very simple. It's very nice. I mean, what is there not to like there?
Yeah. I mean, if you are worried about the bracelet, it does have those quick release slider bars on it, so you can give it a quick change if you're not happy with the rattliness of it. All for the princely sum of £411, which is nice. From
two dive watches to another dive watch.
Well, I'm going to go for a Laurier that have been around for about 2017-18. I've been following them ever since TGV from Urban Gentry showcased them.
Nice.
And it's the Neptune. This is the Neptune version 4. So there's been 4 iterations of this watch. This was the flagship model. Vintage inspired microbrand watches that are just done so well. They're not completely ripping off any brands. They are taking inspiration out of sort of 3 watches, basically. This is an old Omega 300, which was a military watch, a Blancpain Bathyscaphe, and a Rolex sub Big Crown, which I think is the 6538. But all those together that forms this absolutely beautiful watch. And the thing that I love about Laurier is they've been going for 3, 4, 5 years, and they listen to the customers, and they're doing like what Rolex has done for 100 years, which is slowly updating and improving what it was already a cool watch to start with, just by the change in the movement, obviously getting more money in, selling products, but that obviously comes on to the consumer, and they're just updating and making these watches better and better. The version 1 of this had a NH35 movement inside. This now has a Miyota 90 S5, but yes, that's a high beat movement. And what I love is they've got an acrylic Hesselite crystal. It was about the time when a lot of micro brands were deciding to, right, let's go modern. Let's give sapphire. Let's give everything else. Let's give all the modern treatment to these watches, where Laurier was more, no, let's look at the past. And let's really give them something right from the past, as if you was to buy it from the past, brand new. And I love the fact that it comes with a poly watch, a tuber poly watch as well, because they do get a scratch in the acrylic crystals, but they buff up a treat with poly watch, guys.
Nice.
Since they're taking feedback, my feedback would be, I think the biscuit tin crown is perhaps a little bit too big.
You're wrong.
Look at it. You could change that thing from the other side of the room.
Yeah, I need to be able to do it with my dive gloves on, obviously.
Absolutely.
But what I very much like, and I'm seeing more and more, not just in the watch space, but this idea that actually the best technology isn't the most attractive. Having it the highest technology, silicon, sapphire, bleh. Yeah. Character comes from imperfection, I think. Yeah. And so saying we're having an acrylic crystal, we're having the acrylic bezel, we're doing things the old-fashioned way, is what gives it the character.
Yeah.
And this is the same.
So you're saying watches are more special when they've got old tech inside them, like old mechanical movements and stuff. Is that what you're saying, Andrew? That's really interesting insight.
I think I'm onto something here. Yeah. Maybe we should keep that one to ourselves. I think we can do a little bit of a money spinner on that one.
I think it's no surprise that, the likes of Tissot and all brands are looking back, 30, 40, 50 years at their, probably, let's face it, probably their best watches, and bringing them out in their modern movements and everything else, because let's face it again, a watch is a pastime. It's not needed, particularly when we've got such accurate time on our phones. And the best time of wristwatches were the 50s and 60s and 70s, when watches were needed. They were actual tools that were needed to time certain things, battles and actual diving and everything else. And I think the package that Laurier gives is very hard to beat.
Yeah. Very nice.
All right, cool. Well, a check from Laurier in the post to Russell.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Right, I'm going to combo break here because this isn't a dive watch. Do you remember the code 1159 star wheel that AP came out with recently? And they're like, ooh, harking back to our past, very complicated. Ooh. Well, if I told you that Xeric made a star wheel watch for the princely sum of $1,099, your response would be...
Get the hell out of town.
Get the hell out of town, that's one. Russell, what would your response be?
I would be, this is madness. I need further investigation here.
Well, let's do that. Here's some further investigation for you. Xeric is a young brand that has been making watches that have some unique and interesting complications going on. They don't want to just do another dive watch. They've gone for a different route. And this is the Star Wheel, made famous in 1655.
Wow.
Because Pope Alexander VII was like, can you make it for me because I have insomnia and I don't like my clock ticking.
Those insomniac Pope needs, that's where the best watches come from.
Yeah. And so AP was like, we'll sort that out for you, but they did it in 1991, so a little bit late to the party. But it's been rediscovered again.
Was he still awake?
And Xeric have jumped on that, which is great because it's an affordable complication, which we love. Stainless steel, 50 meters of water resistance. Again, we're seeing the Miyota 90S5 with a little bit of added complication in there to get the Star Wheel complication going. You see the minute counter on the right-hand side, and you see the hour wheels, which spin around in the middle. Really, really cool piece. And it's not too massive either, 42 millimeters. Not the smallest, but it's certainly not the biggest. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's very different. It looks like a fidget spinner, And it also looks like a very small drone that you could wind up the crown at 3 o'clock and then push the crown in, and then that propeller drone will just fly off the watch and come back to you
with some recon.
It's very cool. I mean, 42 millimeters is not massive, but that's a shower, isn't it? This is the shower.
Tom,
hello.
Your watch, please.
This is Marlowe Watch Company, a British watch company. They're based up in Scotland. They've been going since 2015. So this is the Scepter Commander for £400, $399. It's that rifling on the bezel which really caught my eye. I think it's there to sort of represent some sort of submarine turbine, but I thought it looked like a whirlpool. So that's really cool. You've got a really nice metallic blue dial and outer chapter ring with orange and bright white markings, and the chapter ring also has an orange edge to it, so if you catch it on the side view you can see there's this nice orange inlay running around the ring of the dial, which is really, really cool. Nice, lovely little touch. It's got those cool divider hands with loads of lume, hairline second hand there, and it's got a high beat Miyota 9039 automatic movement inside. And I think it's just a really cool, stylish watch with quite a lot of good specs for the price.
Yeah, I think it's a lovely looking watch, Tom. I definitely want to twist that bezel. That's a knurling that I haven't seen before. Definitely, and I'm with you on this whirlpool effect, turbine looking thing as well. Very nice. What I would say, crikey, Miyota are making a packet this year, aren't they? They are making a lot of money. There's a lot of Miyotas going on. The NH35 is old news. It's it's very nice.
I've got a real hankering to get 2 of these and see if the bezels mesh together. So Marlo, if you're listening to this, could you take a picture of the 2 mesh together, please? I need to see that now. I need to see that. Moving on from that to your next choice, Russell. What have you got here for us?
Well, I'm a huge fan of military watches, and they come no greater than the Cabot Watch Company, CWC, and I've got for you in our affordable range the Mellor 72 W10, which was supplied to the British military, the Army, the Royal Navy and the Royal Air Force in the early 70s. It was the first watch that CWC made and issued to the military. This watch is a reinterpretation of that supplied watch from the 70s. The initial one was in a solid case, and the only way to get to the movement was through the acrylic glass. This is a 2-piece again with I think it's a push-in crown, but I love the fact that this watch feels, as I've had this in my hands, it feels like a watch. I've gone back in time and I have been given this watch from 1972. That's what I absolutely love. The chapter ring from the railroad track going along the outside of the dial. I love that British military vibe. The T, the broad arrow hand, as it shows that it's issued to the military. An unabashed tool, not trying to look fantastic. In the tonneau case, it is purely form over function, and that in turn brings a sort of, well, I don't know if this is an actual word, but fashionability to the watch. That it's weird how it comes round full circle. That this watch is, I would call it's timeless, to be honest, which is a bit of a pun, but it's just very thin. It's 38 millimeters in diameter. It's about 10 mil thick. It's a manual wind only. I wanted to put a manual wind in this selection because I love, I'm an old, I love a purist. I love the duality between a mechanical hand winding watch and myself. It won't run without me putting energy into it, and the energy gives me this accurate timing. But Solita SW210, 40 hours power reserve. It does have the fixed lugs, so it's only going to be NATO straps or fabric straps, that one-piece straps that go through this watch. But as historical references go, and if you like your British military tool watches, I think this is an absolute stunner.
I'm going to have to be really annoying and chuck in another dive watch.
Not
here.
another one. Here we go.
I know, right? God. This is the Certina DS PH200M. Now, this is quite a big watch. It's 42.8 millimeters, so, you have to be a big boy to wear it. But you get 200 meters of water resistance. You get sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating. It's Swiss made, and it gets the Powermatic 80, like the PRX. £825.
I love that lozenge bezel.
Oh, I knew you'd like that.
Looks just so smooth and tactile. I don't know what it is about it.
Yeah, I like it. There's a juxtaposition with the faux patina looking bezel numerals and the markings to the crisp white of the dial. But obviously it's a goldy looking to match the handset, which is nice. But you can tell it's vintage inspired with no crown lugs. Nice big crown at the 3 o'clock. It's again, there's not a lot to dislike here. It's very nice looking, tastefully done, isn't it?
Yeah, really tasteful.
Tom, are you going to do us a favour and not show us a dive watch?
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, this is Sternglass.
Oh, good pronunciation.
And then the subtitle Zeitmesser, which I believe translates as Mr. Time, which is fun.
Does it actually?
I don't know. So this is a micro brand from Hamburg in Germany. It's a small watch company that loves that Bauhaus design, and who can blame them? So if you really like the look and feel of perhaps a Junghans Max Bill, but don't want to shell out the €1,000, you can get this little number for £189.
What?
It's a steal, isn't it? It's quartz. It's a Ronda 714 quartz. But you're getting all the fun of the fair. You've got 316L steel 38mm case. It's 6mm in thinness, which is ultra thin. That's going to slide under any cuff, no problem.
That's thinner than the strap, that looks, Tom, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost dangerously thin. I'm not sure if it's a typo, but yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, other little nice bits and pieces. You've got a nice sort of domed crystal, so you're getting that cool pebble shape that we love so much about the Max Bill. You've got quick release strap changing bars on the strap as well, which is a nice little quality of life thing. And overall, I just think it's just so simple and elegant. It's just a no-brainer, really, isn't it, for the price? Like this will do you right for any situation except diving.
I'm getting very hot under my black turtleneck right now for this watch.
Exactly.
Yes, it's a rather nice choice, Tom. For someone as inelegant as you, Tom, you do come up with some very elegant choices.
It's aspirational, isn't it? That's what watch buying's all about.
Yeah, wear the watch you want to be.
Yeah.
Speaking of the person you want to be, Russ, why don't you round us up with number 10 and your last choice?
Well, listen, I've gone for a little bonus. Not many people will know about this brand outside of the UK, but which is incredible, really, because the brand Rotary have been around since 1895.
What?
And they were first formed in Switzerland, in Le Champ de Vaux. Yes, they moved to London. The headquarters moved to London in 2000. They make very affordable watches. They've never really been on my radar until recently, when obviously, like I said about brands, realizing that, you know what, the older brands we did back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, they were actually quite good, and let's bring them back because people seem to want them. I just absolutely love this. Is called the Avenger Sports Gents 40mm. It's a chronograph. It is quartz. I've gone for the green dial. I just think it's very British looking colour, the racing green. It's a bubble mineral glass. It's not sapphire. The chronograph, there are no screw-in pushers, but it just adds to the vintage looking style. It definitely gives me Zenith Chronomaster Revival El Primero vibes. And I just love the look of this case. You know, I've seen it in authorized dealers. I haven't handled one, but I don't know. What do you think about this watch, team?
Yeah, I think with the Tonneau-esque shaped case, and I think there's a lot going on there. Again, I think it's another confuser. I think that'll catch people's eye and they'll go, "What is that?"
Definitely. This, I mean, if you was to see this on someone's wrist and you didn't really know watches, you would think that this was quite a pricey looking watch, definitely.
Yeah.
A lovely selection. Well, there you go, dear viewer and listener. If you're a little bit cash strapped, but if you still have a hankering for some timekeepering, you can still enjoy some very, very tasty watches. Thank you so much, Mr. Mad Watch Collector, for joining us here today. Dear viewer and listener, go and subscribe to his channel. You won't regret it. Thank you very much, Russell, for coming on and joining us.
Absolute pleasure. Great to be with you guys, and let's hope we've infused someone with those watches.
I certainly hope so. Thanks, Tom, as well, for your choices. Thank you, dear viewer and listener, for joining us. Please do like, comment, subscribe, etc., and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.